In this video, I'm going to share with you a simple but very powerful mental training system that is proven to rewire your mind for more profit and less stress in just 3 to 4 hours a week. And I know that sounds too good to be true. And that's why this video has 2 parts. For the first half, I'm going to share with you how this system works. And then if you want to go further down the rabbit hole, in the second half of this video, I'm going to fully break down the logic and the science behind why this system works. Now, the system that I'm going to share with you is the exact system that's helped over 500 online coaches, consultants, and agency owners just like you scale to new records and have some incredible transformations, including some of the biggest names in the industry, like Justin Saunders, who went from $18K a month to his first $100K month within 5 months and has since gone on to surpass $434,000 a month. And that's actually tracking him over the last 3 years. Brandon Carter used the system to scale from $250K a month to over $531K a month after hitting plateau after plateau in his business. Another client of ours, Zan Sheikh, who went from doing about $500,000 a month to $1 million a month using the system. And he sent me this. He said, "I wish one day that this training is given to children as a prerequisite to life." And that's exactly why my elite clients, including Ravi Abuvala, Eli Wild, Elliot Hulse, and Dan Henry, say that this is the mental blueprint to the game of online business.
John is single-handedly responsible for a 300% increase in our revenue.
It's not even a question. I haven't really trusted myself to too many others. John is the guy.
It gives you some element of being a superhero.
I feel like James Bond on vacation all the time, and this is one of the best investments I've ever made in my own personal development.
What John brings to the table in terms of leadership, in terms of influence, is unique that I have not yet seen in the industry besides him.
We actually had our biggest sales day ever. This week, we had a $40,000 day, and I'm in a much better place mentally in just a short amount of time.
We've hit a new record every month.
I literally feel like a new person. I just never had seen anything like this.
I'm having record month after record month. I'm way less stressed. It's life-changing shit.
We'll let the numbers speak for themselves.
After going through the program myself, I can tell you that it is rare you will see any system as dialed, as detailed, as easy to follow, and as useful as what John has laid out. And so if you're looking to level up your psychology, I cannot recommend John, his program, his team, his process highly enough. This will ultimately move the needle for you faster than you ever thought possible.
And it's not just the big name guys. We had people like Jay Williams. Jay reached out and asked, "Can you share a little bit more info so I can decide if this is even worth my time?" Well, long story short, he became a client. I took him through this system, and then he shared this. He closed an additional $17K that week and said, "Honestly, this is the best fucking program that I've ever been a part of, and I've invested over $50,000 in dealing with this shit." Or Chad Lauer, who was very skeptical as well, but only 24 days into this process, his business grew by 431%. He said, "That wasn't what I was expecting, but that's what happened." And we survey our clients regularly, and we ask them, what can we do to make your experience a 10 out of 10? And you can see here that people are saying things like, "This program changed my life. I couldn't fathom what above a 10 would look like. This has already been by far my best investment. Everything has improved. It helps you become better in business, but really an overall better human." And you can see hundreds of additional stories like these somewhere around this video probably now. Just so we're on the same page, this system is not for you if you're doing less than 20K a month in your online business. And the reason is not because I don't like you, but because people below that threshold typically need more tactical help and strategies first. This system I'm about to show you optimizes your mind so that you can implement what you already know at an extremely high level. So if you don't have the foundational knowledge yet, this will not work for you. And it's okay, you can turn this video off or you can keep watching, but just letting you know, we don't work with people doing less than 20K a month. But if you're already at 20K a month or more, but your profit is inconsistent, maybe you're frustrated with your team, maybe you have a tough time focusing, maybe one day you feel unstoppable, the next day you feel like shit. And if you feel like you should be further along than you are, and all you want is that freedom, that elusive freedom that you started your business for in the first place, then what I'm about to show you could be the system that very well changes absolutely everything for you. Now, let's be honest. If you're doing at least 20K a month, you and I both know you already know exactly what to do to scale your business. You've bought the courses, you've joined the masterminds, you've invested in all of the programs, me too. And you already know how to get leads, get clients, write SOPs and all that. Yet something seems to keep blocking you from consistently implementing and getting the results that you know you're capable of with the information that you already know. Here's why. Do you make better decisions drunk or sober? As my mom would say, don't be fresh. You know the answer is sober. Now, do you make better decisions when you're frustrated or when you're really worried about things or when you're feeling good and calm? Feeling good and calm. Exactly. So you might say that when you're in one of those frustrated or worried or anxious states, it's kind of like being mentally drunk. So if I gave you the absolute best, here's exactly what to do to scale your business blueprints in the world, but you're hammered drunk, would you be able to do anything with those blueprints? No, obviously. Well, how about if I gave you those same blueprints, but you're really frustrated, you're really nervous, you're really anxious, you're mentally foggy, or you're overwhelmed, or you're burnt out? Would you be able to do anything with it then? Probably not much. See, the problem with this industry is that everybody is telling you to add more, add more, add more strategies, more content, more team members, more AI, more leads, more clients, more views. But you've learned by now that that only leads to working harder, more frustration, more anxiety, burning out, feeling like shit, and wondering where all the fucking profit went. It's like taking shot after shot after shot every single day and trying to remain sober. Now, the question is, how do you know if you're mentally drunk? It's pretty simple. You just look at your results. A drunk perspective leads to drunk decisions, which leads to destructive actions, which leads to bad results or undesired results, results you don't want. A sober perspective leads to sober decisions, which leads to supportive actions, which leads to better results. Now, the truth is, you know that when your mind is sober, when it's clear, focused, calm, and confident, you already know that you're an extremely high performer. You've gotten your business to at least 20K a month. Most people don't get there. So you're already a high performer. You've already proven that you don't need more information. The reality is, if your results aren't what you are capable of, you've been operating with a drunk mind, or at the very least, a buzzed mind, and it's got shit in it. And that's what's keeping you from operating at your full potential with the exact business, funnel, and client acquisition strategy that you currently have. And that's why when online business owners keep chasing new tactics, new strategies, new business models, they continue to get the same results and stay stuck. The reason is they're not addressing the real issue. So in this video, I'm going to share with you how to sober up your mind and clear that shit out and unlock your full potential in just 3 to 4 hours per week. And specifically, I'm going to share with you what's happening in the mind that keeps you stuck and how to rewire it so it never gets stuck again. I know it sounds ridiculous. Just keep watching. I promise. Okay. I'm going to show you there's 2 universal laws of nature, and they're cheat codes to personal performance. And I'm going to share with you how to use them to make more profit. I'm going to show you why trying to think positively and wanting things harder and wanting your goals more is actually keeping you from achieving them. And I'm going to walk you through step by step how this mental clearing system works to eliminate or at least severely reduce stress, overwhelm, feelings of being trapped, heaviness. If you ever woke up and just, I feel heavy today, we're going to talk about that. Procrastination, putting stuff off, being really frustrated. And I'm going to show you how to unlock hyper focus, consistent growth, more profit, so you can finally achieve the actual freedom that you started your business for in the first place. So you can spend more time with your family and all this cool shit you want to do with your life. And so not only do we have hundreds of stories from our clients, we actually have the raw data to back it up, because I knew that the skepticism level is going to be extraordinarily high with this, as it was with me when I was first introduced to this, which I'm going to share with you in just a second. But in our formal case study that we did with our first 186 online coaches, consultants, and agency owners, we took them through this system and we surveyed them on day 1, day 30, day 60, and day 90. And over the first 90 days, cumulatively, they experienced a 78% average increase in monthly revenue, a 47% reduction in fear, and an 82% increase in focus. Now, these were self-reported. They just reported scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your focus? Scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your fear? And shared their monthly revenue with us. That's all. So it wasn't a double blind, this, that, and the other study. Okay, we didn't hire a third-party agency to do it. We didn't run it by the fucking CDC. We didn't do any of that, okay? So just so we're clear, all right? Just sharing with you how we did this study. But those were the results. Now, we don't guarantee any income claims for obvious reasons, okay? There's obviously a lot of factors involved here. But I share those results with you to let you know that these results were all online coaches, consultants, and agency owners just like you, making all the way from 20K a month to $1 million a month. And we've since replicated these results across 500 additional clients since then. And this process is way simpler than you think, which I'll share with you in a minute. But I want to share with you what happens when you go through this process. You start to operate with what my client Brandon Carter describes as
It's a calm confidence. Like I feel like James Bond on vacation all the time, but I'm still out here accomplishing goals.
And your decision making, I don't want to say it becomes effortless, but man, it becomes way simpler. When a client cancels, your ads underperform, a team member quits, or does something to piss you off, does something wrong, where you used to get that feeling inside, you remain centered rather than getting stressed out and frustrated. You'll focus and execute consistently on what you know, which will obviously lead to more consistent results. You'll stop wasting resources on short-term band-aid fixes. You'll stop chasing those shiny objects. And perhaps most importantly, you'll actually enjoy the journey and make more profit. The reality is profit is an efficiency metric, and it's impossible to have an efficient, profitable business if you're making inefficient, emotional, mentally drunk decisions. So we got to clear the shit out. We got to sober up the mind. And we're not talking about just addressing one or two little things. In a few minutes, I'm going to walk you through the entire breakdown of everything. But before I do, I just want to let you know that most mindset approaches focuses on either just educating you with theory and stuff that sounds cool, but that's kind of like educating you on how to work out without actually going to the gym. Or mindset stuff addresses only one or two issues that you're actually conscious of, like getting over your fear of your business failing or feeling guilty about not spending time with your family or something like that. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. That's like trying to untangle. The analogy I like to use is the mind is like this tangled old ball of yarn. Like picture like your grandma's old attic, right? You go up there and her old sewing kit is just all tangled up. If you've ever felt like your mind feels like that, that's because every single one of the strings in there is basically one of these mental blocks, and they're all intertangled and connected with each other. So the theory is just like explaining what I'm explaining to you. That's fine, but it doesn't actually untangle it. And the things that do address stuff, whether it's hypnosis, meditation, or some other thing, is kind of like trying to untangle the whole ball of yarn just by pulling on one string. See, your mind operates like an interconnected ecosystem. Every conscious fear is linked to a laundry list of fears and doubts, which connect to a list of frustrations, which connect to a list of resentments, guilt, losses, judgments, depressions, all of them loop together. And the mental clearing system that we've developed systematically identifies and clears the entire mental ecosystem. So unlike other approaches where you experience kind of temporary relief then it comes back. I know I did some stuff in the past where it's like you break a board and you break through your fear and you feel great and pumped up, and like 24 hours later you feel like shit again. The reason is those are temporary. So unlike that, these changes are permanent. See, when you fully rewire one of these blocks, or as we call, clear one of these mental or emotional charges, when one of those is fully cleared and all of the connections are also cleared, it doesn't come back. It's kind of like the difference between cutting off the top of a weed and actually pulling it out by the root. And so I'll cover exactly why that's the case a little bit later in this video, but you're probably wondering, how in the fuck did you come up with this, bro? All right, great and valid and fair question. So for 7 years, from 2011 to 2017, I struggled my ass off. I never made more than 20 grand in a year, despite implementing every strategy and tactic that I had access to. And I could explain to you how to grow a business, but man, I could not make money to save my fucking life. And then in 2015, I was introduced to a guy who I call my secret Yoda. Now, you can read the full story in my 7-Figure Mind Method book, which I'll show you how to get an instant digital copy in just a second. Dan Henry actually wrote the foreword, so it's a pretty good read. But from 2015 to 2017, my secret Yoda guy taught me some very interesting mental clearing techniques. Now, for privacy reasons, which I go over in my book, I'm protecting his identity. He prefers to remain anonymous. He lives and works off-grid, and he works with select high net worth individuals, and he values his anonymity for various reasons that I don't have time to go into in this video. But I worked with him 4 days a week, 6 hours a day, to not only go through this process, a very similar process, to clear my mind, but I wanted to understand how to do this for others. So this wasn't like a weekend workshop or certification program. It was intensive, immersive training that I dedicated years of my life to and moved to an entirely separate state, okay? And again, I share that whole story in my book, but while I can't share his identity, what I can share is that my dramatic shift in results wasn't from new marketing tactics. It was from eliminating the mental patterns that had been holding me back from implementing what I already knew. And after doing this work, it's allowed me to build and sell a multi-7-figure agency in 18 months. So from 2017 to mid-2019, built and sold a multi-7-figure agency. We had a team of 23, over 400 clients. I've generated 8 figures online in the last 7 years, built a software company to 7 figures, my coaching company to 7 figures. I've been able to buy my dream home, my dream car, retire my wife, and provide pretty much everything that my family needs, and then some. And I'm able to now spend my time helping people like you unlock your next level. And so everything I'm about to share with you in this video comes from direct experience, both my own transformation and those of over 500 clients who've used this system to clear their minds, scale their businesses, make more profit, and all that good stuff. So if you're right now making decent revenue, but you're stuck, you're tired, you're burnt out, you're frustrated, and you're just trying to make the profit that you started your business for in the first place, but no matter how many programs or courses or masterminds that you buy, you just can't seem to get to that next level, I can tell you after seeing this hundreds of times over the past 5 years of doing this specifically, the problem is not your strategy, your offer, or your funnel, because there's somebody out there right now with the same strategy, funnel, and basically probably the same offer as you, making 10 times more than you. And the only difference between you and them is how you think. And not to go too Russell Brunson on you, but it really is not your fault, okay? Nobody ever explained to you how your mind actually works, at least giving you a workable model in a way that you could actually rewire it beyond just theory or crossing your fingers on your ayahuasca journey or whatever. All they gave you was some generic theory. I don't call it bullshit theory, but they gave you some generic theory because they didn't know themselves. See, you were led to believe that meditations, ice baths, willpower, hypnotism, doing DMT, maybe some psilocybin, talking in circles with a therapist, maybe hoping Jesus had it covered. You've been hoping that all of those were the way forward, and rightfully so. Nobody ever gave you an alternative. So you've coped the best you could, and you've become decently successful despite all of that, which is a great sign, by the way, that this mental clearing system has a high chance of being very effective for you as it has been for other clients. Because the truth is, there's a much, much, much simpler and more practical solution for better performance, focus, clarity, and profit than anyone's ever shared with you. So in just a minute, I'm going to prove it to you. But before I do, I want to make sure that we're totally on the same page about something. See, you and I both know at this point, the difference between consistent 7-figure profit and constant struggle is not another strategy. It's your ability to make optimal decisions in any situation. And now with AI expanding exponentially, competition skyrocketing, more and more people joining this space, trust is at a crazy all-time low, which is why you're probably skeptical as hell right now, and I totally get it, which is why I'm trying to shovel all the social proof here and give you as much data on this as possible, which is why this video is probably a little bit longer than you're hoping, but I promise it's going to be worth it. Just stick with me here. The truth is, mental clarity isn't just an advantage. It's the only sustainable edge left. And so that's why I created this system, and that's why I've been sharing it and taking people through it for the past 5 years. It's a practical, simple, measurable, trackable way to identify and permanently clear the mental blocks that are keeping you from your full potential and the freedom that you started this whole thing for in the first place. Because you, like me, believe in true freedom. That's why the fuck we're here, okay? We believe that the world needs our best, and we believe that that starts with unlocking our best, clearest thinking and the best, wisest version of ourselves. And so that's why I do this work exclusively with elite online business owners like you, is because we have the desire and ability to make an enormous impact in this world, and that can't happen if we're battling our minds the whole time and we're getting lulled to thinking that more strategies and ice baths is the fucking answer and we're just supposed to slog through it. It's not. So if you know that you have the next level within you right now, you know deep down you have the next level within you and you're just trying to get it out. If you're sick of watching people who aren't as smart or hardworking as you make fuckloads more money than you with exactly the same strategies and tactics that you have, then pay attention, because what I'm going to show you is more important than making more money or scaling your business. In this new reality that we live in, online entrepreneurs, those who are going to survive, let alone make millions in profit, won't be the ones with the best funnels or the best hooks or the snazziest strategies. This is no longer the knowledge economy. This is the wisdom economy. Here's what I mean. Over the next couple years, any task that can be automated will be, or taken over by AI. All knowledge will be commoditized. Everyone will have access to it. It's pretty much already here. The only online business owners that will dominate moving forward from today are the ones with the wisdom and the clarity of mind and higher order thinking to make calm, clear decisions, to not only communicate with and be able to control and prompt these AI systems, which is obviously very important, which I wouldn't recommend prompting your AI while you're drunk. Those who are going to win are going to be able to run their businesses and their lives and lead people when everyone else is panicking. And you're already starting to see people start to get a little shaky out there. So those who are going to win are going to be the ones who don't get emotionally hijacked and waste their resources on reactive bullshit. Those who are going to win are going to be the ones who have complete mastery over their own minds. You think your family, your team, your clients, your prospects, or your social media audience won't be able to pick up on the fact that you're secretly afraid that everything is going to fall apart? People can pick that up. And the more you try to act like that that's not happening, the more they'll be able to pick it up. So they want a truly authentic, certain leader, not somebody who's trying desperately to convince themselves they are. They need somebody who has a steady hand when things get crazy, not somebody who secretly can't keep their shit together. Because with the AI taking over, FTC cracking down, competition getting crowded as hell, ad costs rising, politics, holy shit, what the fuck is happening? And trust at an all-time low, these ordinary band-aid solutions and quick fixes are basically useless. So these affirmations, ice baths, meditation, they're all just temporary fixes for a permanent problem. So what you need, what all of us need, if we're going to win, if we're going to make consistent profits, if we're going to achieve the type of freedom that nobody can take from us, is a complete permanent rewiring that creates a shift from hoping shit works out to knowing that you can handle anything no matter what. And knowing that, not just like, yeah, I could do it, but like deep in your bones. That's what this system does. Predictably, measurably, quantifiably. And it works every single time. That is obviously for those who use it. So if you're like me, you take your body to the gym 3, 4, 5, maybe even 7 days a week to get and stay physically fit. But what are you doing with your mind to stay mentally fit? Not just fit. You don't go to the gym to be fit. You want to be fucking shredded, right? You want to be an example of what's possible. You want to be a representation of your best self. So what are you doing for your mind to do that? Because I think we can both agree that the number one thing in your entire life that dictates how you run your business, how you make financial decisions, how you support your family, how you treat your body, how you interact with people, and literally every result in your life is dictated by one thing and one thing only, and that is your mind. You can't do anything if you can't get yourself to fucking do it. So whether you work with us or not, whether you use our system or you do something entirely different, the question that we all need to ask ourselves is it worth leaving my future to chance? Or would I rather be in control? Is it worth the risk hoping that I make good decisions? Or would I rather know that I'm making good decisions because it's coming from a place of confidence and certainty and clarity, not from a place of fear or guilt? Is it worth rolling the dice, gambling, hoping that my subconscious doesn't sabotage me in the future? Or would I rather eliminate that as an option completely? As one of my mentors, Keith Cunningham, who's the rich dad from Rich Dad Poor Dad, told me, what you can't see can kill you. And I found that to be very true. Of course, I'm biased to our system, but my hope with this video is that you make a firm decision today to prioritize clarity of mind above everything else, whether it's with us or not, because you take you wherever you go. And I think we can both agree that we need to be the most optimized version of ourselves if we want to not only make more profit, but live the life that we want to live and actually enjoy it. So I'm sure, as you've experienced by now, it's not going to happen by accident. If it was going to happen by accident, it probably would be happening already for you and you probably wouldn't be watching this. In fact, I'm sure you found out that as you scale and take on more responsibility and you manage more people and you manage more money and all of that, it becomes harder and harder and harder to stay light, to stay calm, to stay in control, because there's a bunch of shit going on. To scale and make more profit, you got to become the person who can confidently handle that huge breadth of responsibility. It's not going to magically happen. But if you want to scale faster and bigger, the first thing before we do anything else is we have to optimize you. You're the fucking engine. But nobody ever gave you a real practical measurable system for optimizing you. But don't worry, I've got you covered, because I'm about to show you a system that in just 3 to 4 hours a week, just like a gym session, you can rewire every single conscious mental block that's holding you back, as well as the subconscious mental blocks that you can't see. This system I'm about to show you is the exact opposite of traditional personal development. This system isn't just about making more money. This system is about unlocking true freedom, and true freedom is mental freedom. Here's why. Time freedom and financial freedom come and go for even the richest in the world. But mental freedom lasts forever. And with the way things are going, I don't want to say pretty soon that may be the only freedom left, but it's going to be awfully advantageous if you don't get shaken by what happens out there. Now, I would typically say buckle up here, but that would imply that you're going just along for the ride. You're not. This, my hope is your wake-up call. This is your invitation to fully unleash that inner powerhouse that you know you have inside of you. This is your invitation to become truly unstoppable. This is your opportunity to ensure that you don't just survive or do decent, but dominate in this wild, fucking crazy-ass world that's literally unfolding right before our eyes every single day. So, quickly, in order to understand how this system works, I think it's important to give you a little bit more reality on what we're really dealing with here. So let me share with you a story about my client, Roderick, that literally happened within the last 30 days. Roderick was stuck at about $20K a month for 2 years, despite investing over $200K in courses and coaching. He knew exactly what to do to scale to 100K, 200K, 300K a month. He just couldn't consistently execute, and he couldn't figure out why. So he reached out to me and he was like, hey, can you help me scale? So I asked him about his business. Turns out he knew how to run ads. He had a proven offer. He'd sold it many times. He knew how to set up systems. He knew how to get leads. He had successful clients and great testimonials. He had a best-selling book, but he was still stuck at 20K a month. And he went on to explain to me that he's like, hey man, I'm just sick of being fucking salesy and I feel like I'm pushing all the time. And I don't want to waste any more money on ads, programs, people. He's like, I'm not sure if I'm positioned right. And if I'm being honest, I'm annoyed with like half my clients and like all of my team. He's like, I just feel guilty about not spending time with my family. And basically, he was making all of his decisions from this place of fear, from doubt, guilt, frustration, and resentment. And based on what we've learned, he had been mentally drunk. And he's a smart guy. His clients get good results. And so I was like, all right, Roderick, what do you know that you're capable of making in your online business? He's, oh, easily, bro, 100K a month. I was like, okay. So just for fun, to put this in context for you, take that number and subtract how much you brought in the last 30 days. So he took 100K minus 20K, that's 80K. He said, okay. And I'm like, that's how much it's costing you every single month to be mentally drunk. He's like, shit, that's $2,600 a day. So that means for Roderick, every single day he was operating with a drunk mind without even realizing it. It was costing him $2,600. But it gets even more interesting. He'd been stuck in this same spot for 2 years. I'll do the math for you. 80K a month times 24 months equals $1,920,000 in lost revenue. And I asked him, well, how long do you plan on having this business, dude? He's like, dude, I gotta make this work. Like, this is my thing. Like, what the fuck else am I gonna do? He's like, at least 10 years? I'm like, okay. So we did the math on that. If he stays stuck where he's at, I'll do the math for you. That's an additional $9.6 million gone. You add that 9.6 million with the 1.9 million already lost, we're talking about an $11,520,000 problem. And he was silent for a second, and he replied with what anybody who is realizing that they're burning $2,600 a day would say, fuck. So once he saw that number, it clicked for him. He said, damn, dude, even if you're just 10% right about what you're saying, that's a $1.5 million return on investment. He said, all right, dude, let's do it. So we started his onboarding that day. He filled out his onboarding form. I'll walk you through how it works in just a second. But the first thing that I had him do was clear his fears of follow-up and outreach with our fear tool. Then over the next 10 days, I had him clear past losses of lost money on ads, lost money on programs. I had him use our loss tool to clear those. And then I had him clear past losses of time wasted with the loss tool. And then I had him clear his resentment of his problematic team members, which was like all of them, and the past gurus that had failed him. And he used the resentment tool to clear those. Then I had him clear his doubt on his positioning with our doubt tool. Then I had him clear his guilt about not spending time with his family with the guilt tool. Then I had him clear his infatuation with thinking he should be further along with the infatuation tool, which I'll explain infatuation on the second half of this video. So all of those little traumas gone in just a few hours. That's cool. But what's even crazier is if you fast forward 10 days into this process, Roderick posted this $140,000 week after only doing $130,000 in the last 6 months combined. And here's what he wrote on his post. He said, John told me the first thing I had to clear was a fear charge around follow-up and outreach, and that my fear around calling is what's keeping my prospects from calling us. But I apparently said, bro, I'm telling you, crazy shit happens when you start doing this work. And you can see here on this post, he went on to say, holy fuck, was he right? Same business, same funnel, clearer mind. What's the difference? Before he was mentally drunk, now he's mentally sober. So he executed on what he already knew to do without any resistance. That's it. Now, for good measure, literally the day after that post, Roderick posted asking when he should raise his prices because he's up to 175K contracted and 37K cash for just the last 7-day period. Good problems to have. And obviously Roderick isn't alone. We've documented over 500 other similar transformations with online business owners just like you. So before we jump into exactly how this system works, let me ask you, what do you know you're capable of making in your online business? Here's a hint. Look at the person with pretty much the same business model, offer structure, and funnel and acquisition strategy that you have that's making lots more money than you. What are they making per month with practically the same information and business that you have? It's probably close to to your potential. But for you, personalize it for yourself. What do you absolutely know that you're capable of with your current business? Take that number, subtract how much you brought in the last 30 days. That's how much your mental shit is costing you every single month. For my client Roderick, it was $80K a month. That's $2,600 a day. And he knew that even if this system only unlocked 10% more, he'd be able to bring in an additional $8,000 a month. That's nearly $100,000 a year. So once Roderick saw that his biggest expense in his business and in his life wasn't his ads, wasn't his team, it wasn't even taxes. Once Roderick saw that the biggest expense was continuing to carry around his mental shit and saw that being mentally drunk, even though he didn't fully feel fucking hammered all the time, he realized that it was costing him $2,600 a day, and it was going to cost him another $2,600 tomorrow, and the day after that, and the day after that, and that would continue until he cleared his shit. That's when it clicked for him. And right now, it just clicked for you, just like it has for hundreds of others before you. Now, this was the exact same epiphany that I had in 2015 when I was presented with this opportunity. And I didn't have a fucking fraction of the social proof and the data that you're looking at right now. So I was like super skeptical. And that's why I'm doing my best to put all of the social proof and data together, because I know how ridiculous this fucking sounds. I totally get it. I was sitting right where you were sitting. It sounded truly unbelievable to me when this rare opportunity was being shared with me back in 2015. And all I had to go on was taking this fucking guy's word for it. And again, you can read that whole story in the book, which I'll tell you how to get in just a second for free. But as I was sitting there contemplating whether I should pursue this, whether or not this was complete and utter fucking bullshit, the thing that kept nagging at me, and I can see it right now, I'm sitting in an office where this guy is sharing with me. In my book, I call him the Gucci man. He's sharing with me this concept. And he's like, I can introduce you to this secret Yoda guy. And I'm like, all of my skepticism bells are going off. And I'm like, what you're sharing with me makes theoretical sense. And the thing that kept nagging at me was, what if this is not bullshit? I was sitting there thinking, if he's right, this is like the secrets of the universe type shit. And I'll be like the limitless Bradley Cooper guy, and I'll be able to do anything. This will be like my ultimate competitive advantage. And the nagging question that kept whispering in my mind was, would I be able to live with myself if I didn't find out for myself? Would I be able to live with myself if this was real and I had the opportunity to clear my mind of all of the shit that I'd accumulated over my first 30 years of my life? And I had that opportunity, and would I be able to live with myself if I turned it down? And when you read my book, you'll kind of hear more of the story of kind of what the first part of my life was like. Every big decision that I've made in my life, that is the criteria that I've kind of used, is will I be able to live with myself if I do this or if I don't do this? And I knew that I was not going to be able to live with myself if I didn't find out. And that was the best decision I have made in my entire life to date. It has been the best decision for our clients who have gone through this system too. Even Elliot Hulse, one of the biggest mindset and motivational influencers of our generation, was skeptical as hell when we met. And as we were working together, not only did his business double as a result of this, but he sent me this message. He said, damn, this is helping me remember who I am. I've been in a cocoon for the last 10 years, man, but I think the wings are starting to stretch out again. It's darkest right before the sun rises, but I think I'm starting to see the light again. So the question I'd like to invite you to ask yourself is, will I be able to live with myself if I don't prioritize my mind starting today? And again, whether it's with us or not, I don't really care. My hope, though, is that you make a conscious commitment to yourself right now. And if you have a family, make a commitment to them, because as the saying goes, you can't pour from an empty cup. You're the one thing that runs everything. And I honestly don't know what the world's going to look like for those who don't have their shit together. And I mean, like, really have their shit together, not just hoping that they got it covered. And that's a big thing for guys. I get it. Like, you know, it's an ego thing. We want to not have to admit that, you know, we got something that needs to be handled because we've been putting out this exterior front. I totally get it, but I highly doubt you're any more alpha than Brandon Carter, King Keto, or Elliot fucking Hulse. You know, they were able to see that they still had some optimization to do. That's all they do is fucking be strong alpha motivational guys all fucking day. And so if they're saying they got some shit to get rid of, I'm just saying we all do. And that's why I still use these tools to this day to keep my shit together along with my clients. So if you are considering working with us, you have an opportunity right now that's even better than the opportunity that I had, because with this system, hundreds of others have gone before you, including some of the biggest, most most respected names in our industry. And you don't even have to move to an entirely different state like I did. So the question I'd like to invite you to ask yourself is, what if this isn't bullshit? What if this is the real deal? Would you be able to live with yourself if you didn't find out for yourself? You watch this far, we haven't even covered all of the science and logic that you're going to see in just a second is going to back up what I'm saying, but the choice is yours. And I can only take on a few people at a time. I'm very choosy. I don't pawn you off to somebody else. I personally take you through this process, which I'll share with you the details of how it works in just a second. But as Morpheus said to Neo,
I'm trying to free your mind, Neo, but I can only show you the door. You're the one that has to walk through it.
Now, I know that's a lot to digest, and I know it sounds fucking ridiculous, but in just a minute, I'm going to, again, walk you through the logic and the science and philosophy behind why this system is so effective. But if you've already heard enough, and this sounds like something that you want to do, here's what happens next. It's very, very simple. First, you'll click the link somewhere around this video and DM me the word boardroom on Instagram. If we have a seat open, you'll be guided through a short ManyChat automation that's just going to ask some preliminary questions to make sure that this system has a high probability of working for you. If you make it through that automation, it'll automatically send you all of the offer details and the pricing and all of that. Plus, that's where I'll send you a copy of my 7-figure mind method book. If you want to really dig in, you'll be able to download that immediately. That's the one with the Dan Henry forward on it. And no, there are no setters or closers in my DMs. I don't run that model anymore. It's actually me, and I'm not going to try to hard close you. I'm not going to try to book you on a sales call. I don't do that anymore. You can look at all the offer details without ever talking to a fucking human. All right. So if after you look at all of those details and you do decide that this is something that you might want to do, just you then DM me back on Instagram, say, hey dude, I'm interested, got a couple questions for you. I'll personally jump in, answer whatever questions you have. We'll verify some information with you just to make sure that it's a fit. And if it is, then I'll send you the onboarding instructions. After you enroll, you'll start with our onboarding form. It's the same place everybody else started. Once you submit that, I get a notification. I open up that onboarding form and I personally go through a very comprehensive process to develop what we call your mental charge inventory, which is a 100% personalized inventory of all of the subconscious and conscious blocks that need to be cleared. And that's going to be based on your onboarding form answers. Then you and I jump on a one-on-one private initiation call on Zoom where we'll review and refine your custom charge inventory. I ask some follow-up questions depending on your answers, and we really get a comprehensive inventory after that call. Now, also depending on what's going on in your business logistically, which I ask about on your onboarding form as well, we'll cover anything there that needs to be handled as well. And at the end of this initiation call, I'll tell you exactly which charge to clear first and which tool to use to do it. Then after our call, you'll clear your first charge, and within 60 minutes or less, you will experience your first very impactful shift. These tools are very powerful, but they're also very simple. Here's how they work. Each tool guides you through a specific series of questions designed to shift your perspective on the issue at hand. So you sit down, uninterrupted, in front of a computer and answer the questions when prompted. It's not like a live facilitation call with me. This is not therapy, okay? Our software is going to prompt you with questions. You're going to answer them. I know it sounds too simple, but here's why it works. So your prospects, when they talk to your team, they probably don't come to every single call card in hand, ready to roll. No, they're coming with the perspective of, I'm not sure, I'm probably not buying your shit. And what you do is you ask them questions and you get them to shift their own perspective from one that says, I'm not buying your shit, to one that says, here's my money. In order to do that, you ask questions. And you found that when you ask the right questions in the right order about the right stuff, you can get that prospect to shift their own perspective. And when they do, it's permanent. Now, if you do this poorly, they'll probably have buyer's remorse and refund and whatever. That's because you didn't ask the right questions in the right order about the right stuff. But when you do this permanently, they go into your stuff, they get great results, they say thank you so much, because their perspective is now permanently shifted. They don't go back. And that's exactly what these tools do with every single last mental and emotional block, keeping you from your full potential and more profit. If you can answer questions, you can clear your mind. And I know that sounds way overly simplified because you've thought that this was a big old complicated fucking thing. This is why it works. And I'm going to walk you through again the science and the logic of how it all works in just a minute. But after your first charge clearing, each week you'll use our software to clear 2 to 3 mental charges using the tools, just like a gym session, and your progress automatically tracks on your dashboard. And you'll attend, we have group calls for support and business strategy, and you'll also be invited to attend our quarterly board meetings to align your mental work with business goals. And we get into some really cool psychology stuff as well. So it's a very clear clear, simple, and very, very powerful process. And I also give all my clients access to my entire library of business trainings, trackers, tools, scripts, templates, and softwares as a bonus, just in case. And so if that's all you need to hear, and you want me to personally take you through this process and help you scale your business and make more profit and get rid of the shit, like all of my other boardroom members, like all of the people that you've seen testimonials of and all that stuff, just DM me on Instagram the word boardroom and we'll see if it's fit. Now, if you want to understand the full picture of how the mind works and all of the technicalities, let's switch gears to that for a second. And to be clear, this model that I'm about to share with you is designed to fit within the framework of any religion or philosophy. So I'm not going to try to force any beliefs upon you, because I believe what's true for you is true. So don't adopt what I'm about to tell you if you don't resonate with it. But I'd also invite you to keep an open mind, because most likely your current beliefs are creating your current thoughts, which create your current actions, which are creating your current results. So if you hold really hard to an idea and you want to say this is wrong and your way is right, the question is, I don't know, just look at your results. If how you've been thinking is working, keep doing it. If it's not, I would invite you to try on a new perspective. Anyway, food for thought. But just to let you know, this is not based on theories. This is based on observable universal laws. And so my goal is to share with you the logic and the science that has been passed down to me from my mentor, and then share it with you so that you can use that information to improve your life, grow your business, bulletproof your mind if you so choose. And the easiest way to share that with you, I was gonna refilm this and whatever, but you'll see in just a second. It was a training that I did. It took a very long time to put together, because in order to communicate this, I wanted to make sure it was very visually descriptive. And so I'm going to take that clip. It's from a training that I did called the 8 Secrets to Eliminate Fear, Doubt, and Frustration and Become a Bulletproof Entrepreneur. So this is about to walk you through the anatomy of the mind and the logic and the science behind why this system actually works. So hope you enjoy. Chat soon. Secret number 1, you're actually already a powerhouse. So getting into it, who are you? You're not a human body. If you have your appendix removed, you're no less who you were before you had your appendix removed. When you talk about any parts of your body, you say, this is my arm, this is my elbow, this is my nose, this is my brain. You instinctively know that your body is something that you have, not something that you are. Your body is something that you use. When you die, you don't lose any weight immediately. There's something that leaves. So if you're not your body, what are you? Your mind? To answer that, we need to understand what the mind is. Your mind is a memory bank containing pictures. It's the compilation of everything that you've ever experienced. It's all stored in your mind. When you think of something, you get a picture of it. But if you can get a picture of it even with your eyes closed, then what is it that's really looking at the pictures? It's you. You are a being, an intelligence, a consciousness. It's the part of you that's aware of being aware. And in this program, we're going to be referring to that. We're using this blue sphere. So every time that we reference the blue sphere, you see it in the background here. I'm going to be using it on this whiteboard. Anytime you see that, we're referencing you. The intelligence, the consciousness, whatever you want to call it, we're going to reference that as just a baseline of referencing you as it differentiates from the body, as it differentiates from the mind. And the interesting thing about you is that you are at your core a genius, creative, infinite, intelligent being. You have more power than you can possibly imagine. And although it might not feel like it right now, you're awesome. At your core, you are amazing. And as I said, even if it doesn't feel like that right now, don't worry, we're going to change that. And you have the ability to change your mind, to change your body, to change your life ultimately. You are the one who decides. When you make a decision, it's not your body making your decision. It's not your mind making the decision. It's you. If I say, look at your breakfast this morning, it's you looking at it. It's not your body. It's not your brain. It's not your mind. It's you looking at it. You made that determination to say, I'm going to look at this breakfast this morning. So in this program, when I refer to you as you, we're going to truly uncover what it means to truly be you, not be the body, not be the mind, but be the infinite, genius, creative, problem-solving, confident, powerful you. So you have a body, you have a mind, but you are you. And that's what we focus on in the rest of this training, is uncovering the genius you already have inside of you. Yes, it's there, I promise. So rather than needing to seek outside sources, because as we'll cover in a later secret, adding more habits, routines, and stuff to the mix is actually what's holding you back. I'm not telling you you don't need to learn new things, but what I am telling you is most likely you already know what to do, just like most people know what to do in order to be in good shape. You should eat less calories and work out regularly. Knowledge isn't probably the problem. We just need to remove the blocks so that you can stop stopping yourself from focusing, implementing, and taking action. Which brings us to secret 2. Your mind is the obstacle. As you've learned so far, you are you. You have a body, you have a mind. And the mind is the collection of mental image pictures that all have an energy or a charge connected to them. And energy in this case is defined as a potential of motion or power. It comes from the forcing of space between terminals, kind of like a battery. So in a battery, there's a positive pole and a negative pole. Everything in the mind is stored with a charge just like a battery. They are all stored in the mind, but it can be called up or looked at will. For example, close your eyes for a second and picture your breakfast this morning or the last meal you ate. See it, feel it, touch it, chew it, smell it. Feel the silverware in your hands if you had it. Feel the food in your hands if you ate it with your hands. Look at who you were with. Hear them talking. And as you're doing that, what's happening is you, remember the blue sphere is you, are recalling this event and looking at it. And as long as the meal wasn't awful, it's probably stored as a pleasure moment or more of a positive charge than a negative charge. In other words, if you're recalling it and you listed reasons that it was good, you probably have more reasons that it was good than reasons it was bad or negative. So moments like that can be recalled quite comfortably, because if you recall the charge with the battery, there's probably more positives than negatives in that event that you're recalling. Unless, of course, you had an awful meal, in which case this might have more of a negative charge to it. So in a positively charged event, you have more reasons that it was good or beneficial than you do reasons that it was bad or negative or a drawback. And pleasure moments can be looked at very comfortably, as you've just demonstrated. Now, moments that include pain, hurt, grief, loss, anger, frustration, fear, shame, and resentment all tend to stick in the mind. They stick in the mind because at the moment they occurred, this bad experience happened, you made all sorts of subconscious decisions about, let's say in this example, this girl gets bit by a dog. You made decisions that dogs were bad. And let's say she was on green grass. Green grass is bad. And then you have pain in arm, and you have all these things that you decided was bad about this event. So it is a negatively charged event. And the reason for that is you most likely didn't make any positive or benefit decisions at that time. So you got bit by a dog, you made a decision that dogs were bad, teeth were bad, all of it hurt, it was really bad, and it gets stored as a charged bad past experience. And it doesn't have to be an actual painful moment. It could be some sort of a embarrassment or a loss or a guilt or something that happened in the past that you decided was a bad thing. So all of those past bad experiences that have more drawbacks to them than benefits all stack on top of one another and are stored in the mind. And when you have an accumulation of imbalanced negative charges, they act as a lens for you looking at the present. So now all you can see is a possible negative present, or, as we're going to draw in a second, future. So this lens gets pulled over you and skews your perception. Now, because of your relationship with the mind, you call upon the mind and your past experiences, both positive and negative, to make decisions about the present and the future. So the mind accumulates and stores all of these past bad experiences, which tend to stick more than the past positive or good experiences, and ensures that you are wearing this lens when looking at the present or the future, especially in moments of perceived danger or upset, which then dictate your actions. Essentially, the lenses that we view then, the present and the future with, become so thick, it clouds our clear thinking and judgment over time more and more. So let's look at the example of the girl getting bit by a dog. The mind does not discern between the items that happened. It loops them all into one category. negative, because it wants to make sure that you avoid them in the future to not experience the same pain. That girl has just put on a lens of fear and is now looking at the future to avoid all of the things that just happened in that event. So the mind is trying to help you by acting like a mirror. So the girl now is going to think at some point in the future that there is going to be a bad event that includes any or all of the things that happened in this past bad event. So her mind will now be looking at the future, looking out for dogs, teeth, biting, green grass, grass in general, mom equals woman equals scream equals, let's say her mom is blonde, equals blonde hair equals blue sky. It all gets looped in, and that's where irrational fears of the future come from. So there's all these things that are stacked in the past. Let's say there's not just one, but many and multiple, and they stack and stack and stack. The mind does not discern between the characteristics. It only stores them all as negative. So in this case, this could be a root of her fear of authority figures, or her avoidance of getting into an authority position because she doesn't want to not be able to protect somebody that she has an authority over. So because they all loop together in a negative category, it makes this lens thicker and thicker as she looks at the future. And every characteristic in this event, let's say a dog, if she sees a dog in the present, it will immediately trigger all of those characteristics of bad and avoid, even if it's a cute little friendly puppy. And these triggers might also be called buttons. If you've heard of somebody saying, "Oh, you're pushing my buttons," those are buttons. See, when your mind has imbalanced and negatively charged items in there, you are very susceptible to getting your buttons pushed. That is not a bulletproof mind. As long as you have these imbalanced past experiences, you will be wearing this lens, looking at the future in a way that clouds your focus, your confidence, and your clarity. So literally, this is how you're viewing the world. With the lens off, you see the truth for things for what they really are, and with the lens on, you see the world through this skewed perception that is charged and influenced by the past experiences in your mind. And make the world seem like things are more difficult, more scary, and more hopeless than they really are. And the way you know that you have the lens on is if you're feeling some kind of unwanted emotion. So don't worry, I'm going to show you how to take this lens off and keep it off. This structure is what keeps you from being consistent and getting the things that you want in life. Therefore, if you balance these charges in the mind and make the positives equal to the negatives, this lens will remove itself, and all that will be left is you. All that will be left is logical, rational thought. All that will be left is power. All that will be left is clarity, consistency, and confidence and focus. In other words, all that will be left is the bulletproof you. And while this example shows a very simple fear, this is the exact same structure of all doubts, anger, resentment, depression, anxiety, frustrations, guilt or shame, or anything that you're trying to get rid of. But what do you mean, balance my mind? Well, that brings us to the law of polarity explained in secret number 3. Everything is naturally balanced. For more information on this, I highly recommend getting this book, The Kybalion Hermetic Philosophy. This principle is straight from there, but you will also find as we go throughout this lesson that the reason the principle is in that book is because it is a universal truth. And this principle is vital to clearing any and all charges that you have so you can remove those lenses and be the confident, focused version of yourself. Do more, achieve more, and all that good stuff. So what is the principle of polarity? The principle of polarity is defined as everything is dual. Everything has poles. Everything has its pair of opposites. Like and unlike are the same. Opposites are identical in nature, but different in degree. It's where extremes meet, and all truths are but half-truths. All paradoxes may be reconciled. So what the heck does that mean? What it means is, for example, hot, cold, positive, negative, good, bad, light, dark, up, down, are all two sides to the same coin. Take hot and cold, for example. There really is no such thing as hot or cold. They are both opposites of the subject called temperature. See, if you call something hot or cold, you're actually always right. It just depends on your perspective. On the subject of temperature, there's this gradient scale from cold to hot, from hot to cold. and everywhere in between. And there is a neutral point in the middle where hot and cold balance each other out. So on this planet, Earth, you might say that it's hot outside if the temperature is 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So here's Earth. We're going to put it on the it's hot out generality. So if you ask most people, they will say it's 100 degrees Fahrenheit today. It's really excruciatingly hot. Most likely, nobody's going to tell you that 100 degrees Fahrenheit is cold, but that's just based on one perspective. Is it true? Yes, based on one perspective. But is it universally true? Remember, the truth is there's actually no such thing as hot or cold. They're both relative. So if you take the planet Venus, for example, where the average temperature is 864 degrees Fahrenheit, all of a sudden, we can't put these next to each other. We now have to put Earth all the way over here. So now, all of a sudden, 100 degrees Fahrenheit is cold. If it was 100 degrees Fahrenheit on Venus, you would say it is a cold day in relation to the average temperature of 864 degrees. So is Venus hot and Earth cold? Maybe, but only based on one perspective. The average temperature of the sun is 9,941 degrees Fahrenheit. All of a sudden, Venus is looking pretty chilly. So the sun now takes hot. Venus is probably somewhere in here, and Earth is somewhere over here. All of a sudden, Earth went from it's really hot to really cold. Venus went from it's really hot to pretty cold, and now the sun is super hot. And we could take this on and on and on and on. So the truth is, there's no absolute standard of cold or hot to cold. It is a gradient scale, and it depends on your perspective. The truth of the subject is that temperature is just temperature. Whether it's hot or cold is all relative. And the truth is, hot and cold are actually one thing: temperature. The law of conservation of energy states that energy can neither be created nor destroyed. Rather, it can only be transformed or transferred from one form into another. And that is true with literally everything in this universe. Love is the opposite side of hate, courage, opposite of fear, acceptance, judgment, benefit, drawback, survive, succumb, win, lose, big, small, rich, poor. They are all relative. It is only a perspective that creates the charge. Just like the perspective that makes Earth seem cold in relation to the sun, it's the same perspective that makes an event seem bad in relation to good, or harmful in relation to beneficial. And what that really means is both of these sides are equal in truth. And we'll call this middle line here truth, or this is what the Buddhists are referring to when they refer to the middle way, because they realize that this law of polarity is literally in everything in this universe. It is all existing as one uniform truth at all times. So when we talk about clearing charges, we're taking an event that right now has more perceived drawbacks than benefits based on the law of polarity and the law of conservation of energy, that energy is never lost. So that being the case, these must be equal to this all the time in everything. So when we go to clear charges, what we're going to do is we're going to uncover all of the opposites and bring this event to where it is neutralized. And when we do that, you're going to see that this middle way here, this middle line of truth, is really what we're talking about when we talk about you, confidence, power, consistency, focus. And you can see that all of these poles are occurring in the mind. So when we go and neutralize all of those charges in the mind, just like we found with the cold or the hot temperature, when we found the truth, it just became a temperature or a negative or a positive event. The truth is it just becomes an event. We transcend the mind and be able to see it for what it really is: balanced, harmonious. There is no energy lost. There are no negatives. There are even no positives, which we'll get to in a later lesson. But everything, when you see truth, this is why the truth will set you free, is because it literally, when you see the balance between one side and the other, and you realize that the event that you thought had all these drawbacks but no benefits, when we go in and find those benefits, and we're not going to make them up, you're going to actually find real tangible benefits to all of the things that you thought were bad or happening to you. And when we do that in a systematic fashion, that don't worry, I'm going to walk you through all of it, you will know the real truth. The truth of anything is the center point of a balanced perception that transcends the mind, that transcends the scale of polarity, and sees everything for what it truly is: balanced, powerful, divine, and serving the whole. And there is good in every bad. There are benefits in every drawback. For example, take something perceived as bad. Let's say somebody dumps you. You might feel all is lost, like they betrayed you. You'll never be able to find the one. They've deserted you. You've lost love. You've lost sex. You've lost friendship, companionship, a teammate. All of these perceptions cause an imbalanced view of that event, creating a negatively charged event. And since we've now learned that nothing is ever lost, energy cannot be lost, it is always conserved, that must mean that there are benefits to this event as well. Now, they might not be readily apparent. If they were, you wouldn't feel bad about it. So rather than complaining about this event and staying over here, ask yourself, how does this serve me? What are the hidden benefits of this perceived bad event? What are the hidden benefits of getting dumped? Does it make you self-reflect and seek how you might be able to improve for your next relationship? Does it make you dig inside and find courage that you previously didn't have access to? Did it allow you to reconnect with friends that you haven't seen in a while? Did it motivate you to get back in the gym and look better and eat healthier? Do you now have more freedom and independence? Are you now able to do what you want when you want without consulting anybody? Are you now free to play the field again and experience other people? See, people get stuck on one side of this pole for their entire lives, thinking things are bad, which keep this lens on. The truth is, everything has two sides. It is literally impossible to have one side without the other. And it's not one side now and the other side sometime in the future. They're both existing simultaneously right now. And this is an ancient principle of the universe. Everything is perfectly balanced. The principle of polarity shows us that there are equal benefits in every drawback, equal hot in every cold, equal large in every small, equal rich in every poor, equal love to every hate, and so on. And this principle exists everywhere all the time, and it always has. One of my favorite definitions of wisdom is the speed at which you're able to see both sides and neutralize an event or circumstance and transcend it. So the faster that you can do that, the more wisdom and objectivity and better decision making and focus and confidence and clarity and power you have. Well, that leads us to secret 4. Anybody can change and change quickly. I can't change. I was just born this way. This is just the way I am, or I've always been this way. While it may seem like that at the moment, you were born an extremely powerful, focused, confident decision making machine. In your life, when you attempt to solve problems, and you're wearing these lenses, you get unsupportive feelings and you make unsupportive decisions that aren't the most helpful to you, your family, your career, your relationships, your finances, and your life. You're just wearing these negatively charged lenses that have been put there from past negatively charged experiences. It has nothing to do with your genetics or how you were born or any part of your body. These are in your mind. Many people think it takes years of therapy and counseling to just make a dent and finally, hopefully, maybe make some kind of a change. No, it doesn't. It takes a decision to make lasting change. And the reason they haven't made a clear decision is the wide array of lenses and charges in the mind, both positive and negative. For example, for the first 3 to 4 years of your life, you pooped your pants. All the data showed you that that was the way to get it done. And you had all of these unconscious ideas of how simple and positive this experience was. And you got it positively reinforced. Your parents cleaned you up, told you how cute you were, put on a new diaper, you smelled great again, and they just waited until it happened again to positively reinforce that activity over and over again. But then around the age of 3 or 4, you were introduced to new data, a toilet. And your parents presented you with this new data that it's time to take responsibility. You're old enough now to poop in a toilet. So in order to get you to agree to this, because how could you possibly, without any new data, agree against this really awesome thing you had going, they had to present you with some drawbacks. And some drawbacks to pooping your pants as a 3-year-old is, well, big boys and girls don't poop their pants. If you want to go to school like the other kids, you can't poop your pants. If you want to make mommy proud, you can't be pooping your pants. It's stinky. It's messy. All the big kids are using a toilet, and so on. And there was a moment at around 3 or 4 where the drawbacks of pooping in your pants equaled the benefits of pooping in your pants, and you were able to make the logical, confident decision that the toilet was the way to go. And since that moment, barring some sort of an illness or accident of sort, for the most part, most likely, you have not gone back to pooping in your pants and waiting for somebody to change your diaper. You haven't had to use affirmations or go to therapy for it. You haven't had to read books about it, meditate on it, take drugs for it, suppress the urge not to, pray about it, or write goals every day about it. You haven't had to do any of those things not once since you decided that the toilet was where to poop. It has been a true, lasting change. And I'll bet you don't even have to give it a second thought. While that example may seem obvious, it's the exact structure of any lasting, balanced, logical, focused, and confident decision. And in the full Bulletproof Mind program, I give you the exact tools and processes to logically and systematically balance out any blocks in your mind that are holding you back. But just because you know the law of polarity and understand the framework of the mind doesn't mean you can magically balance it all out because you know the logic. You have to make sure that you're prepared to take yourself on this journey. So here are my top 2 tips on making sure you're ready. First, you have to have a full intention to win. This will not work if you go through it trying to prove it to yourself that it's just another thing that won't work. If you do, well, it won't work. Next, you have to have patience. You've spent a lifetime building up fears, resentments, traumas, guilt, shames, judgments, losses, and frustrations. And while in the full program I give you all the tools to get rid of those, you won't be able to do them all at once. However, just like you've decided not to poop your pants anymore, good on you, once each process is done and the new pathways have been wired and new decisions have been made, you won't have to go back. And again, in the full program, we cover how to make sure both of these conditions are in place, as well as the other conditions you need in place to thoroughly clear out all the mental trash. But nonetheless, both of those tips are crucial for achieving success in anything you want in your life. Which brings us to secret number 5. Grinding is not the answer. Action does equal power. But if you're here right now, you're probably having some sort of difficulty remaining consistent or getting yourself to do the things that you know you should be doing in order to get yourself to your goals. You're having a tough time getting to the level of action that you desire or directing it in the way that you desire. There are many programs and philosophies out there that just say go and fight through it, fight forward and do it. And that will absolutely work. But in my personal experience, it's almost impossible to grab yourself by the scruff of your neck and slam yourself forward day in and day out. See, the mind has a sneaky way of stopping you. And then when you stop yourself, you feel like you let yourself down, and now you have another charged negative event that adds another lens to your perception, making it even thicker. It's much easier to take that correct massive action when there are no negative thoughts stopping you. So you might be thinking, so I'll only be positive from here on out then, right? Well, that brings us to secret number 6. Positivity is a trap. If I think positive, I'll become positive and my life will be awesome. Truth be told, positivity is a trap. Yes, if you think positive, you will become positive. But if you recall, positivity is a polar extreme, as is negativity. An extreme positive charge is as dangerous, if not more dangerous, than extreme negative charge. Remember, truth, clarity, power, and everything you're in this program to get and become more of is in this center line of truth, of balance. Truth is a beautifully equal balance between negative and positive. It's seeing both sides. Remember, wisdom is the speed at which you can see both sides. It's not only positive or only negative. So let me break this down for you right quick. If you try to force yourself to think positive in some way, shape, or form, you will A, have a hard time doing so because you'll know you'll be lying, because you know instinctively that the truth is the balance of both sides. So by only seeking the positive side of anything, you know it's a lie. And B, you're putting a super thick coat of paint over the old rickety barn, and you're trying to take this side and move it all the way to only experiencing this side, the positive side. By forcing yourself to try to think positive, you're aggressively holding down a 9 on the calculator in the hopes that somehow the magical right answer will pop out. And when you get people that are extremely positively charged, whereas the positive charge outweighs the negative charge, this is where you get the delusional people that lie to you about their success level. They always seem weirdly up, and you kind of feel uncomfortable around them. You can't quite pinpoint it, but it just doesn't seem right or natural. And this is where you get the very aggressive, you must think positive type people, trying to enforce their positive beliefs on you in an aggressive manner, almost fighting. When you go through and try and aggressively affirm yourself to only the positive and not seeing both sides of truth, when you're living over here in this state, it's terrifying to confront anything that's negative. And the reason is these people have worked so long to affirm themselves up into positivity to put the new coat of paint over the old rickety barn that now they're holding both down a 7 and a 9, and there's no possible way they can get the correct true answer to anything. And they're extremely susceptible to violently swinging back all the way to the negative and then pumping themselves back up again to swing back over to the positive. That is not power. That is not confidence. That is another expression of fear and self-doubt and anger and frustration just expressing itself on the opposite side of the spectrum. And being only positive without negative is even more harmful, because now you're no longer confronting reality, which is equal amounts of both sides. Now you're lying to yourself and you know it. So if you're dealing with a fear, anger, self-doubt, depression, any of that right now, and you're predominantly living over here in the negative charged area, you're actually much further along in getting rid of it by seeing the reality of you have it, rather than trying to act like it doesn't exist. This is the danger of infatuation. Infatuation is defined as the state of being carried away by an unreasoned passion, and passion is described as a strong and barely controllable emotion. So when somebody has an infatuation with "I must be positive," they can swing super far to the other end of the spectrum because they're trying to make up for that negative rather than find balance. And this is the source of compulsion, which is defined as an irresistible urge to behave in a certain way, especially against one's conscious wishes. So if you can't get yourself to stop doing something, drinking, drugs, porn, gambling, being mean, cheating, harming others, self-sabotage, any of that, there is an infatuation or a fantasy. There is a very positively charged or positively reinforced charge in the mind that sees more benefits than drawbacks to that activity. This is also the source of the concept of rose-colored glasses, which is defined as an optimistic perception of something, a positive opinion, seeing something in a positive way, often thinking of it as better than it actually is. And this is a dangerous perception, and you can be blinded from the truth about people, situations, circumstances, events. Only seeing one side, whether it's positive or negative, without seeing both sides, is a dangerous proposition. And this is the cause of getting blindsided in a relationship that you were so enamored with. They were so great. They were only positive. Finally, you found the person that was only everything that you wanted and nothing you didn't want. Wow, that's awesome. And then all of a sudden you find out they have some of this stuff and they do something crazy like leave you or cheat on you. And you literally get blindsided. You are literally blind to the other side. And when that happens, it doesn't usually go well. In financial markets, when everybody only sees optimism moving forward in the future and no negatives, they make poor investment decisions. Or when things are really bad and people are only seeing negatives and no positives, people make poor investment decisions. Warren Buffett is famous for saying, if you can't manage your emotions, you can't manage money. And this right here is why. So remember, the truth is in the middle. There are equal sides to everything, positive and negative, and they are both equally dangerous to you becoming the best, most confident, focused, bulletproof version of yourself, to bring you back towards the center of truth and balance it out. This doesn't mean you shouldn't be optimistic. What it means is you should have a healthy balance of seeing the good, the bad, the positive, the negative, and making an objective, intention-based decision, not a reactive, oh my God, I need to get away from this, oh my God, I gotta have more of this type of a decision pattern. But you're about to learn that there are 2 ways to get results, which brings us to secret number 7, the bulletproof way to get results. We kind of touched on this earlier, but I want to hit it from a different angle. There are 2 ways to do anything to get any result, consciously or reactively. If you've read a lot of personal development material or listened to audios or been to programs and been through stuff to try and get you to be better, you're probably familiar with conditioning yourself with affirmations or doing a pain association with something. For example, if you're trying to get yourself to stop smoking, one of the methods is to associate a lot of negatives with it so that you, out of compulsive fear and complete disgust, you stop doing that activity. Or that same method can be used for attaching fear and negativity and all this horrible stuff with being poor so that you get yourself to make a lot of money, and attaching a lot of positives and this fantasy stuff with this amazing life that's going to happen when you make a lot of money. And you can get results by doing that. You can make a lot of money by associating a lot of pain with being poor and a lot of pleasure with being rich. It is possible to get that result. But you're here to be bulletproof, not a reactionary Pavlov dog bell-ringing humanoid. And the bulletproof you sees both sides of everything from a place of power, not a place of reaction, robot, install this software here and install this software here so I can just get what I want selfishly out of life. The real bulletproof, powerful you would approach building wealth, losing weight, and everything from a much different place than the person who's just trying to prod themselves like cattle to get themselves in a direction. So once you see both sides of everything, you can then make an objective decision to build wealth and do it from a place of power, from a place of confidence, from a place of poise, from a place of purpose. And from here, you won't be so attached to the outcome or afraid if it doesn't happen. And when you don't feel that electric pressure of all of these charges, you will be able to make better decisions. And back to Warren Buffett, that's why he says there's no place for emotions in managing money. He doesn't get too up when he wins and doesn't get too down when he loses. And he's worth $70 billion. There's a lesson to be learned in here. If you're here and you've watched this far, you probably don't want to be the person that absolutely has to meditate today because you're terrified of what happens if you don't, because you got to get this in, and you're terrified if you don't get it, and having this jostling argument of I got to, but I can't, running your life. So you can meditate from a place of I'm going to intend to create something, or you can meditate because you're terrified of what might happen if you lose one day, or don't get it in, or am I hurting myself? All of those types of things. There's two different ways to approach anything: a reactive and a conscious intention. If you're here, you want to be bulletproof, conscious intention is the way to go. And another way of looking at this to simplify it, if you get drunk, drink a lot of alcohol, which you might say is a downer, because it is, drags your energy down. You can either try and balance it out by taking a lot of cocaine and hope that you find the middle here and hope the right answer pops out, or you can just remove the alcohol in the cocaine altogether and see it from a place of truth. See clearing charges and balancing out charges, rather than adding additional charges to try and balance out the other charges, will always lead to a more desirable result in your life, and more than that, you'll feel good about them. Which naturally leads us to secret number 8. Responsibility is power. You might be thinking to yourself, I get everything you're saying, but my special situation isn't my fault. It's them out there. To the degree that you give up responsibility to them out there, no matter who it is, a government, another person, is the degree to which you give up your own power. If you're blaming someone else for your perceived challenges, I realize it seems totally logical, and you're not wrong for doing it. But in the next section, you're going to learn that there is a tool to neutralize that resentment, that blame, so that you can remove that lens and remove that charge and get you the clear answers that you're looking for. In truth, problems are only solved by taking responsibility for them. And unfortunately, holding beliefs that your situation or circumstance somehow does not conform to the universal laws of truth will only keep you from resolving it. Well, all right, that's about all I've got for you. And the question at this point is, how much longer do you want to keep your mental shit? If you want to get rid of it now so you can finally unlock your full potential, stop leaving a fuckload of money on the table, and just overall just feel better, then click the button somewhere around this video, find me on Instagram, DM me the word boardroom, and you'll be guided through a short ManyChat automation. You'll be able to see all the details, ask me whatever you want, and we'll go from there. And again, as Morpheus said to Neo,
I'm trying to free your mind, Neo, but I can only show you the door. You're the one that has to walk through it.